everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Real Review. I am Peppermint, here with the fabulous Cazwell, and I am so excited about this episode, this season of The Real World Homecoming, which brings the original 7 from the original first episode of The Real World back into the original loft to have the same old conversations they've been having. And so here we are. Episode 4 leaves us back in the loft where Rebecca can basically evicted herself after reliving an explosive argument back from 1992 about racism. While defending her position on racism, Rebecca is starting to look a little bit or a lot bit like a Karen. After Norm sets down, basically he shuts her down. Norm shuts her down, tells her to shut up, claiming to protect her. She grabs her bags and leaves the place, apparently breaking the pact that the roommates made, that all 7 needed to agree to participate and stay in the house in order for it to work. And so Julie seems to be the most empathetic. She ran after and even tried to consult with Becky to no avail. Now Kevin seems concerned, and Norm seemed completely unbothered, to be honest with you, despite the fact that Rebecca was his closest friend in the loft, as we learned. And this episode starts off with the roommates sitting around trying to figure out what to do after Becky has left. Should they run after Becky, or should they just stay in the house and make it work and do their thing? And they're realizing that, that she's her own woman and she can make her own decisions. And so Eric is still stuck in his hotel room, dealing with his coronavirus sickness. And so the roommates decide to pay him a visit down the street, on the street corner, to give him a shout out from his window, very Romeo and Juliet style. And it's in this moment that we get to see how emotional Eric really is about his connection to the roommates, especially during the never before seen flashback that showed Eric becoming emotional about not being able to see them. Anyway, so we're going to jump right in. It is time for the real review. Hit it.
This is the true story. True story.
Of 7 strangers picked to live in a loft.
And nearly 30 years later, talk about it.
And have their lives taped.
To find out what happens.
What?
When people stop being polite. Could you get the phone?
And start getting real.
The Real World with Peppermint.
Hey y'all. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. It's last week was a great episode. This week was a good episode, but I already get the feeling that next week is going to be an excellent episode. And Caswell, I want to know what you think about it. Just off the top of the baseline, how'd you like the episode?
I started off feeling like, oh, this is going to be so boring. And then for some reason, it just started to capture my attention a lot more. So I think a lot of that had to do with Julie talking, the drama with Norman that we'll get into, and Heather B doing a lot with her backstory and her being my favorite character. And that definitely helped. So for some reason, after I got through the first 10 minutes, I'm really glad I stuck through with it. But I also had no choice because I had to go do this show with you.
Well, we get to see Andre and Kevin going for a walk and doing a little bit more bonding, which is really interesting because they never really had much of a relationship in the past. But this time they're actually bonding over what had happened with Becky. And they're spending much more time together in the house, especially now that Andre made a vow to kind of change that in the first episode. So do you think that Andre and Kevin are really concerned about Becky, or do you think that they're just showing face?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone was kind of, at the very least, disappointed with what happened and kind of went back and tried to figure out if they could have done anything differently. I do think that Norman, whether he admits it or not, knows that he shouldn't have told her to shut up, and I'm sure that somewhat pushed her over the edge. I'm sure that he's just being a stubborn queen to some extent, being like, well, if she can't handle the heat, bye, like in some way too. But I do think that Julie has the right idea with, I think that they should all reach out, be like, hey, listen, like, you made your decision, but we want you to know that we want you to come back, and we really do all care. Because in Becky's head, as a Karen, which I've come to terms that that's what she is, that she is like, well, they all hate me and they all suck and they're not going to give me a chance to talk and they don't care that I'm leaving anyway and blah 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 blah. So if they all take the chance to be the bigger person, not that they're holding back or anything like that, but if they're just like, hey, look, like we really care about you, we would really like you to come back, this, we will never have this opportunity again. Not in another 30 years, we won't be able to do this. Probably not even next year. So please come back. We are all family, whether we like it or not, and we won't have another opportunity to do this. And no one wants to have any regrets with how this ends out. So please come back, and we'll promise that everyone will have the opportunity to talk and say what they feel. I just think that what Becky's point of view just stirred up so many emotions because everyone could see just how ignorant and short-sighted she was and how she didn't allow herself the ability to see where someone else was coming from because she was too busy protecting herself from being called a racist. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that, that's definitely what she was up to. I don't necessarily want to put her in the box of, yeah, Becky's a racist, so that's that. I do, and I guess it's not really fair to in my opinion, to label any human being just as one thing. Because that's certainly what these Karens are doing to other people, right? And so I try to be empathetic, and I think when I try to lead with empathy, it doesn't allow me to just say to write Becky off. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's human. She made a mistake. It was definitely inappropriate. It was definitely wrong. I think it was short-sighted, like you said. They're not going to have this opportunity again. And it was also short-sighted because, girl, you're on national television. This is a different situation than what it was. I will not try to even begin to lecture someone who had been on the original reality show about reality show etiquette. But it is a different beast today. And so you got to make sure, like, it might not get edited out, and you might end up on Perez Hilton or something, tomorrow. So, like, you want to kind of think about how it's really going to go down. And maybe that's what she was doing. Maybe she was thinking about her reputation and not wanting to stay and engage. Clearly, she wasn't getting anywhere. But I do think that, to your point, it is a good idea that the roommates try to reach out. Kevin had the idea to reach out. And as a matter of fact, while Julie's trying to make amends with Becky on the phone with her, texting her, Norm is packing his bags too, but to move into Becky's room that they call the executive suite. Well, you're moving on up, moving on.
He told her to shut up on purpose because he was like, "What do you think I can do to get that room, girl?" he was being that queen. He was being that queen. He's like, "I want the executive suite."
Do you think that Julie will be able to break through with Becky as easily as Norm is breaking into Becky's room to convince her to come back? And when she does, what do you think going to happen with that room? Is she going to be rooming with, who was it, Kevin or whoever that Norm is rooming with?
I don't know, honey. They're probably only there for another 2 nights at this point. But I think that if anyone could really break through to Becky, it would probably be Kevin. Because I think that the whole conversation that they were having revolved around Kevin. So I think if he reached out and says, listen, like, I don't think it was handled the right way on anyone's part. I really want you to come back because we're not going to have another opportunity to do this. And, you've had 30 years. We've had 30 years to smooth this over, and I want to do it right. So please, please come back. And the thing about it is, I think we talked about it a little bit before, is that in order to be white and to see how racism has affected your life and seeing how you've played out as a racist and because of systematic influence, you have to be able to admit that you're not right. And that's really hard for people to do, especially when they get in the habit of justifying their behavior because they understand why they did things. I took an African dance class, or, people that don't understand systemic racism will always fall back on, well, I dated a black guy or I have black friends, or all these types of things that say you're not racist, when every single white person in this country has been affected by systematic racism, and they've been a racist somewhere on the spectrum until they can actually, that wasn't the right way for me to digest that information. Oh, like, I do understand what the news is showing me, and like we're getting fed stereotypes about Black people that we're taught to believe. And it's okay to say that, oh, I when I was a teenager, I thought that Black people were more violent somewhere in my head because I was shown that, and I never was around a Black person. Do you know what I mean? So I think or that whenever I thought about talented Black people, I just thought about people in sports. So but not really seeing that as part of systemic racism. So I think that racism should be a course in public high school and junior high, to be honest with you. I think that the education system is going to be a big part if we're ever going to cure racism. So I mean,
I agree.
Good luck with that, but
Racism 101. Well,
really?
Over dinner, we find out that Norm has been in financial ruin during the pandemic and unable to pay his bills. He recently invented a new computer stand system, which actually seems pretty cool. I would like to get one. And tells the housemates that he misses painting, and they immediately encourage him, which I love, to start creating art in the house. Then he proceeded to create an entire series on chocolate bunny paintings, which is beautiful. At first I was confused. I was like, are you going to be putting paint on chocolate candy? No, he actually is just painting pictures of chocolate bunnies, which I think is pretty cool. And I think I want to buy one. I want to support him, after watching that. I love seeing them come together. I love seeing them kind of corral and rally behind one another, especially one of them who is in financial pain. Norman was on the verge of tears. And so what do you think about Norm's chocolate bunny paintings?
I was on the verge of tears. I really triggered a lot of emotion for me. My biggest fear, one of my top three fears in life, is to be homeless, and to feel that sense of helplessness, and how, and it just brings back to me. It's connected to so many things. There's a lot going on with the homeless in LA right now, and the police trying to get the homeless out of Echo Park, and there's a lot of people talking about their feelings regarding that. And I just feel like, so having negative $100 in your bank account and having no money to pay your bills and being behind on everything when it's completely out of your hands is still very humiliating. It's you don't want to talk about it. It's just like and I understand where he's coming from. Like, I hate asking for help. I hate it. And when Heather offered financial help to him and he said no, I completely understood why. There's some people that are like, take it however you can get it. But, for him to respond with no, but you can buy a piece of my art was like the perfect response. And just, to be 50 and moving back into your parents' house. I mean, that's real. Like, this is why this isn't like the real world, because you don't see this. This is truly reality. This is truly reality.
It really is. And I think Norm really does kind of exemplify like that kind of example of what some people, like, a lot of the things that are happening in his life are things that we wouldn't want to see happening for ourselves. Yeah, he dealt with a lot of discrimination, being out and gay so long ago. He ended up, after having a very good career in painting, but probably not going the way that he would have wanted in New York, ended up getting into film and television directing and production, which maybe he has a passion for. But just then to kind of to be on TV and to be a successful artist and to be a producer and to be all these things, and now you're back, like you said, living at your parents' house, which there's nothing wrong with that during the pandemic. He also went back to help with the family. I do think it certainly can be ego bruising. And then to visit New York City again, where I know a lot of people, New York City is like, it probably is like, it symbolizes like this great place of opportunity, but then very quickly turns into a place where you like are traumatized, you don't have enough money, and you just want to get out of it. Which I think I have opinions about, but I won't say them. But I do think that probably brings back some of those feelings that Norm has had, and so at least makes them worse. So I agree with you on that front, and I love to see the relate. I just really, I'm nourished by seeing the relationship that Norm has, the relationship that people have in the house, the closeness that Norm has with Heather, the fact that they've been talking, even though there wasn't a show, they've been talking, and I do think that this is really interesting. Norm's kind of bringing up some of the same concerns that Becky brought up, not Becky, that Julie brought up in the original season when she was the youngest person in the house, and she was the only one with no job, no career, and she was like, "Y'all are all successful, back then," and she was like, "Oh, so to see kind of everyone navigate those things it's really interesting. A piece of glitter or something just fell off my face. But again, going back into these relationships, I think it's just so beautiful to see how they bloomed. And one of the relationships that's really bloomed and done a lot over the years is the relationship between Eric and Heather. We get to see more insight into their relationship in this episode, and seemingly this love-hate relationship. We get to see old footage of them fighting like cats and dogs one week, and then the next week he's helping her do her hair, which is a very incredible, intimate ritual for Black women. And so I remember that type of closeness and connection that they had back then, and it's nice to see that you could tell she was really looking forward to Eric being in the house, and really kind of rekindling that flame. Even though Heather is happily married, I don't know what Eric's, and I believe Eric's in a relationship as well. So we're not saying that, but this kind of closeness that they have, brother sister, but also just a very deep friendship, is really cool. And she does seem to have a bit of a crush on Eric. So what do you think? Do you think that she'll actually get to see him in person on this trip, other than from the balcony?
No. I don't think so, because I think they're only staying together for a week, I think, and he was getting a fever just today, or the last time they showed him. So I don't think so, because I think when you have it for a couple of weeks, and you just started to get the symptoms the day he was supposed to show up. So I don't think so. I also just want to add in there, when you were saying about Norm, I think one of the reasons that Norm couldn't be bothered with Becky leaving, because I think to him he was like, "Bitch, I have my own problems."
Yeah, as we come to find out,
like you go back home to your $2 million condo or your nice place that we, because you go back to your family that has more wealth than me. Like you're gonna be fine, honey. Like you do whatever you want. I'm done crying over you. So I feel like I'm not saying she has a $2 million condo. It looks like she has a nice place, and it looks like she's done really well for herself, and it looks like she comes from a family above the middle class. So I think that when you're dealing with financial hardship, you don't care about a Karen about to cry. So, but I think that I just want to also say, but back to what you had said about his relationship with Heather. I mean, she it's emotional for her that Eric is not there, and I'm sure. I would like to think that they were able to meet up since they filmed this. But also, I just want to say, if I'm not taking a left turn for you, that they delved into Heather's career. Is it okay to talk about that now? Okay,
yeah,
they delved into they jumped into Heather B's career, and then how she kind of lost her record deal after MTV wouldn't play her music, but she did put out an album that did well for her. But she was just talking about her writing process, and she had said. And I quoted this, I wrote down that she said, "Satisfied means finished, and I'm never satisfied." And that really hit me, because just
I knew that it was.
Maybe a year ago, I did an Instagram post, and I said that that artists need to know the difference between finished and done. And nothing I've ever worked on is finished, but it is done, because I am done with it. So you just have to get to the point that, because you can always, and you're the same way. I know you can always hear a song from like a couple years ago, 10 years ago, and be like, "Oh, I should have turned up the bass a little bit, or that would have sounded better with a different vocal, or we should have taken it's always going to be something like that, because just as like the universe is never always expanding, so it's like the mind of an artist as far as like options and things to do.
Yeah.
So it's like because that's why a lot of like artists like have sit on a song for 10 years, because to them it's just
Well,
like
that's what,
it's not
even
finished,
more
but it's
than
never
that,
going to be.
the average person can definitely understand that, because we all, that's where things like the director's cut of movies comes from, where like
Exactly.
on DVDs and things like that, or digitally remastered, because somebody went back in and said, you know what, let's fix this 20 years later. So people can understand that. I think that
Yeah.
that work, it's a part of you, and it just lives on.
Yeah.
And so I completely agree with that. I had a chance to talk to Heather about her legacy in the music world and how beautifully she kind of parlayed that burgeoning rap career into a really successful career in radio. Being partners with Sway on his morning show might have gotten her more play and more deeper roots in the world of hip hop than having an album or two out in the '90s. To be
Sure
honest with
did.
you.
Sure did.
And so I really love that, and I love how the last episode she was able to really use her roots in radio to talk about listening and how the importance of listening when you are in a conversation like Becky and Kevin were in. And we're just about to go to the comments. We're just about to go to the phones, but if you have a comment, we want to know. We want you to leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Do you think that Becky was overreacting? Do you think that Kevin is going to be able? Kevin, who do you think is going to get to Becky, to Julie? Wait, who do you think is going to get to Becky first, Julie or Kevin? And will Norm give up his room that he commandeered from Becky? What do you think? And would you like to hear Heather with a new album? Like, now that they are having the opportunity to be back in the spotlight, maybe this is a good time to drop another single. Who knows? We want to know. We're just about to go to the phones and take calls. But let's, leave that in the comments. And while you're at it, like and subscribe and share this video. All right, let's get to the calls. I think a true Karen, really, what they care about is being served.
Ooh. Bitch, yeah, okay. I being so, and you know what? Karens are certainly, the stereotype is a white woman, but there have been a lot of videos of Karens that I've seen that when you say especially being served, like there's this one video of a Karen that goes to the drive-through at McDonald's and she's like, excuse me, but. Okay. Excuse me, but these muffins are not warm enough. You are going to have to send them back. And this was not a white woman, but I'm sure I don't have to tell you that it's not limited to that. But to have Karenitis, it could hit anybody at any moment. Man, woman, or child, you're all susceptible.
Well,
it's a new pandemic.
If we're able to judge people, if we're able to judge folks by the Karenisms, I think, does it make you a Karen to sit and be a screaming person asking to see the manager or insisting to gain access to somewhere? Maybe. But then the first thing that I was thinking that people on the right are going to use is that video of, in Georgia just passed a law that made it harder for people to vote. And they just passed this law in private, and the governor signed it in. A representative was arrested. I'm trying to find it right now. Georgia legislator, what was her name? Park Cannon, state rep Park Cannon, black woman, was there begging to get in. And the first thing that went back to my mind was like, oh, this feels like a Karen, but it's not, because it's why she's doing it. She's doing it to have transparency, and because it's signing, making sure that people can't vote is wrong. But on the surface, it makes her look like a Karen. You know what I mean?
It's all about how you play it and what narrative that you decide to spin and what narrative you decide to believe, because there are also people that were involved in the insurrection that felt that they were doing right by the people, and they were going to go in there, or they were going to stop this vote that was unjust, and they are just as convinced, even though it's been proven that the election was fair and square. I don't know how much any election is necessarily fair and square, since there's no
all things considered.
All things considered, you could spin this either way depending on what your beliefs are. But to believe that the insurrectionists were doing the good of the people, you do have to forget some certain things like facts.
Yeah, those pesky things, and then, but we've also
those pesky facts.
We've also crossed into this realm of like being able to make up our own facts. I couldn't believe it when Trump's press secretary, or the first one, was like, "Oh, we were using alternative facts." Alternative facts. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that was quite troublesome to me.
Is it an alternative fact that your teeth are like 17,000 times brighter than mine? Like, this is so unfair. And what are you using? I want to get those temporary.
I don't smoke. Though.
I want to get those temporary caps now that you can't eat with. Look at that. You make me look so dingy. They look so good in the mirror. They're next to you. Can you dim your one of your 7 ring lights, please, to make your?
I only have one ring light, darling. I have one ring light, and I'm gonna. Okay, can we talk a little bit about Lil Nas X and his new video? It's a masterpiece. Can we talk about that really quickly? And then, in addition to that, I'm over Black conservatives coming for these people like Cardi B after WAP. Again, she and Candace Owens got into it. Candace Owens started with her and was like, I broke Cardi B. And I'm just waiting to see if Candace Owens is going to try to come for Lil Nas X, because I think that he could drag her.
Of course she is.
Yeah? What?
Why? Okay, why is the red carpet... I've seen this talked about before, but why are all the red carpet fashion talks focused in on Harry Styles when we have Lil Nas X? Lil Nas X is so brilliant. I love him so much. That video is a piece of artwork. Coming down that stripper pole, bitch. Woo! Like,
because we it would only be interesting to the general population if Lil Nas X were straight identified, like Harry Styles is, first of all. And we reward whiteness for doing what Harry Styles wore a skirt. Harry Styles wore a skirt. Lil Nas X wore a skirt, rings, nails, braids, 7 outfits, and came to, now granted, it was a music video. They both have music videos, but like, when we're talking about fashion and pushing the envelope forward, you're right. Like, Lil Nas X is pushing, it's a little more campy than
Harry.
It's a little more. Wait, let me finish. It's a little more campy than Harry Styles. Harry Styles seems to be more curated by fashion and the fashion world bringing him in like he's a mannequin. Where it seems like Lil Nas X is kind of
feeling it.
Is feeling it, right? There's a difference. I can tell Harry Styles not really feeling it the way that Lil Nas X is. I think that's part of the thing, and they don't want you to feel it. They want a person to be like we romanticize straight white men in this country still.
Well, are you referring to what Harry Styles wore to the Grammys? He looked like
this year.
Okay. Well, see if you can Google it, because Bob, if you're editing, if you look at like a drag queen trying out for Star Search for the first time at Barracuda, he had one of those feather boas on. You know how after Pride weekend there were those feather boas blowing around the sidewalk like gay tumbleweed? It's like one of those busted ass cheap feather boas.
It's actually not made of feather.
Well, if it's fake fur, it looks even tackier. Nothing wrong with fake fur, but as a feather boa, it is tacky. He looks. Woo! I mean, I can't even get into it, but I don't want to talk about him as much as I want to talk about how much I love Lil Nas X. And
let's talk about that
video.
Yeah.
And him taking the stripper pole down to hell and then giving Satan
a lap dance, and then killing Satan and becoming the fallen angel. I think it's so artistic, and it's. I mean, I'm sorry to say it. I don't like to use this word, but it is quite cunt. It's quite cunt.
It is cunt, and I want Lil Nas X money. So we got to get Lil Nas X money so we can make videos like that.
Because it's lovely. Also, shout out to Brooklyn Heights, who came out who dropped another video a video as well, looking very lovely as well, and she looks gorgeous in the video. Is lovely. Lil Nas X, I fully snatched my wig right out of my head this morning. I woke up and was like, "Oh, where's my wig?" You know. Let's take a call. Here we go. Oh, it's our friend. It's okay. We got some friends here. Okay. Oh, did you see the tweet? By the way, did you see the tweet that I shared? The tweet was people saying people about WAP on Cardi B. Wow, WAP sure is very controversial. Lil Nas X, hold my bag. I'm gonna go make a video. Let's hear what Lan Sandburns has to say. Lan Starburns has to say. That's the person who called in last week and got my juices flowing because that voice. Let's hear that voice. Lan, what you got to say?
What's up, Peppermint? What's up, Cazwell? Good to see you here again. And I am obsessed with the Real World reunion show. I'm really glad that Norm got his executive suite. And I'm also really glad that they showed Kevin finally kind of in a softer light, because I feel like in the first go round, he always was coming across as so aggressive, and I was kind of concerned that that's how they were going to portray him, especially after the Becky situation. But it was just, I don't know, it was just a really cool to see a different side of Kevin that we haven't seen before. And I'm so into this series. It's so good.
I agree. And I really do like that. I like them being able to pull out different parts of the people's personalities that we missed the first time around. And I am so sure, even though Kevin was younger, he was on the go. They even talked about this, that the first time around, which I thought was really interesting, and thank you for that call, Land, is that when Andre and Julie were out walking, talking about everything, that Julie said, this might be the most time we've spent in the house, even including 1992 all together, where we couldn't leave, because the first time around they had their jobs, they had their careers, had their life. Some of them had other apartments outside. Andre lived in Jersey, and so did Kevin and Becky, Kevin and Heather, and so it was really interesting to see how this time around they're kind of captive. Which is why, again, I think it is a loss. You mentioned this earlier. It could be a lost opportunity, a missed opportunity if Becky doesn't come back to the house. And so, Leanne, I want to know what you think about the prospects of Becky coming back into the house, because they did talk about it in this episode. We're gonna go back and let's hit another couple calls. We got Ryan talking about I think
he would literally destroy Candace Owens. Like Cardi.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't wait. I don't want to see any carnage, but I think Lil Nas X could definitely hold his own in a beef with Candace Owens, coming for him, because the only thing she could try to do is come for his sexuality and how he expresses it. And so let's see what she has to say. I just want to say,
I think Lil Nas X did this the right way that many gay artists want to do. They think, okay, I'm not gonna come out of the closet until I get in there and I get a number one hit. Not only did he get a number one hit, his hit stayed at number one longer than any Mariah Carey song, any Beatles song. The longest in history was his. So we have a gay rapper with the longest running number one track in America, which makes me so proud. I'm so happy every time I talk about that. And then he's like, oh, now I definitely got your attention. Look how gay I am now. And then this video comes out and it is so fire.
It is so fire. It's sickening. I even saw some straight guys talking about it, saying, you know what? This isn't my cup of tea, but this is the shit.
This is you can't deny it. You are a certified hater if you come for this video. That's probably why Candace Owens hasn't said anything yet.
Let's hear what Seven has to say.
Little Nas X shimmying down that stripper pole in heels, going upside down, pussy popping, made my year. Lil Nas X for 2021.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Seven. It was glorious. It was glorious. I never thought I would describe a stripper going to hell as glorious, but it is glorious. There's no other way to say it. Let's hear it.
Also, did you see the post he posted on Instagram in a like plant thong showing his booty cakes? Oof.
No, I didn't see that. No, I saw a clip of the video.
I love it. I
love this faggotry. It's the only way to. I'm sorry. It's not. It's certainly not. It's inappropriate language, and I would never call someone that
it's
word.
Faggotry. We can say it. We can say it.
It's an old school word. It's faggotry, and it is beautiful, and I love it, and it is so everything. It is more than what I would have wanted. It's more cunty than some of the drag queens things I've seen coming up, and I live for it. And so maybe I
love the internet because we could not see this video because MTV would not be supporting him any longer.
MTV would never play this. They probably won't.
No, like without a doubt. Like thank God people don't watch music videos on MTV anymore because there was so much censorship, and I mean obviously straight people to the top. Anybody gay, maybe we'll give you a 1 a.m. special.
Gay, they weren't showing black people on MTV, let alone
exactly.
Black people, you know what I mean? Let's hear what Ed has to say.
Come on, Ed.
Just for the record, it took Hip Hop Baby Shark 4 remixes to beat Mariah's record.
Okay. Well, that was obviously a very staunch Mariah fan. You know what? That's okay. Bottom line is I think the point that might have been missed here is not so much about someone's how quickly they made a hit. It's more about how someone who's someone who's out of the closet didn't have to stay in the closet in order to have success. Now, is that the question? Are we saying that don't come out if you're gay, stay in the closet, or are we saying you can have success in the music world? Look what we've done. And so I think that's the point that you were trying to make, I believe. Isn't that true?
Well, the point that I'm trying to make is that but he played the game. He knew that if he came out as a gay artist before he got his foot in the door, he wouldn't have got the exposure that he did. He wasn't out of the closet and telling everyone he was gay until after his hit became a hit. So then it was after that, then he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? This is going to be, I'm going to live my life. So he played the game enough to know, it wasn't until he was already popular that he came out.
Right. But the game has changed because the other people were playing the game and they would play the game until they're not selling any more records and they're not selling nothing.
Right.
And then in order to get back in the newspaper, they come out. I don't want to say they only come out to get in the newspaper, but they wait until there's nothing left to lose, no risks left to take, and then, which is usually 10, 20, 30 years later after the career, and then they decide to come out. They feel it's maybe safe enough to come out. I'm not judging people in that situation. I don't know what it's like. I obviously have no idea what it's like, but it would be very beneficial in some way to the queer community if we're able to see people who are currently thriving and surviving who are out of the closet working in mainstream. That would help combat it. Otherwise, we're just following along with what the industry says is we're going to control what you listen to, and we don't want queer people to be successful, and you better not come out, and if you're gay, well, then you better get yourself a fake girlfriend beard because we're not going to have it. And there's a couple who is doing that right now, allegedly.
Who?
I'm not saying, I don't even know. Allegedly. Well, that's the end of the show. You gotta go. I gotta go. This was a quick one, everybody. We just wanted to get y'all in for just a minute. What are you so upset about?
Don't try to pause me with an allegedly.
Yeah, I don't really know. So I don't know that. That's just conjecture. So I can't really say that what somebody is. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching the show. This week definitely proves to be, it seems like it's a great bridge episode to what I think next week is going to be a great episode. We're almost at the end of the season, and it's been a quick, short one, but it's been rewarding for me. I would really love to see some people making amends in the house. I would really love to see some people extending olive branches. I would really love to see all 7 of these people leave the house closer than they did when they went into the house, and they were already close when they went into the house. But that, I guess the all you can do with an apology is leave it at someone's doorstep and ask for forgiveness, or extend an olive branch. And if they take it, they take it. And if they don't, they don't. But I want to know what you all think in the comments. Do you think that Becky will come back in? What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Julie has an alleged date or meeting with, not a date, but a meeting with Becky to try to convince her to come back in the house. And hopefully she'll be successful. And also, is Eric ever going to get out of this coronavirus jail? That's what I want to know in the comments. In the meantime, Cazwell, thank you so much for another fabulous week. Make sure you follow Cazwell right here. Or wait, no, right here. Yeah. Yeah, that's the show. There's nothing left to say. I love you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.